Welcome to In Conversation with MANWAR podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Do Not Be a Bystander campaign. You can join us in raising awareness about bullying by visiting the donotbeabystander.com, and be sure to subscribe to the channel to stay informed about upcoming episodes. Today's participants are Adria, Farifta, Raima, and Ziana. Our special guest for today's episode is Sabah Zaman.
Welcome to our Bullying Awareness podcast. I'm your host, MANWAR Khan. Today I'm joined by four young individuals who are ready to share their thoughts and insights on the topic of kindness. An act of kindness refers to an empathetic and selfless action performed to bring happiness on someone else's life. Today's participants are Adria, Parifta, Ziana, and Raima. Welcome to our participants. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before I continue, I'd like to introduce our special guest today's podcast, Sabah. Sabah will shed some light on kindness and give some tips and advice. I know Sabah has other commitments today. She is very busy. She has a very busy schedule, but thank you for making time for us.
Hi, Manwar. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. So Sabah just completed her MBA. By profession, she is a teacher and she is very passionate about helping children to fight bullying. Thank you, Sabah, for joining us today. All right, now that we have introduced our participants and guests, let's get started with our first question for this episode. Acts of kindness are about showing kindness and compassion towards others, contributing a more caring and empathetic world. So, my first question is for Adria. What do you mean by act of kindness? And can you share a recent story that where you experienced or witnessed act of kindness? Thank you.
So, how I would define an act of kindness is doing unexpectedly good deeds for others and maybe giving someone a nice compliment about how they look or about themselves. And also just putting yourself aside for a bit and thinking about others and helping them out on their jobs. And being grateful to your friends and family and giving them gifts. And for a recent story, I would say I remember in school I knew this girl in a different class. She was crying because she got bullied by one of her classmates. Lots of people, like a lot of people, were there comforting her, and like they were like really sorry for her, and like I joined along too because I felt really bad because I kind of witnessed it too, her getting bullied.
Right. Okay. Great answer. Thank you so much, Adria.
You're welcome.
All right. So, act of kindness are important for several reasons. So, my next question for Farifta, why do you think acts of kindness are important?
Thank you for the question. Acts of kindness are important because they make both the giver and the receiver feel happy. Um, when we are kind, it inspires others to be kind too. Creating a more caring and friendly community, kindness also helps strengthen friendships and makes people feel like they belong. It's a way to show that we care about others and can make the world a better and happier place for everyone. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Farifta. Great answer. So, here are countless of creative ways or unique ways to show kindness to others. Ziana, what are some creative and unique ways to show kindness to others?
Thank you for the question. So, some unique ways to show kindness to others could be by creating small cards with really nice messages or acts of kindness written on them. And you could leave these cards in random places, like on public transportation or in books in the library. You could also show kindness by giving someone your seats on a crowded bus or a subway. You could show how much you appreciate their acts and what they do for you. You could also help someone achieve their goals by supporting and encouraging them, and if needed, providing resources to help them pursue their goals. You could donate to a cause that matters to your friend or family member and tell them that it's in your honor. And lastly, you could do something as simple as making a drawing for someone, showing how much you appreciate them. And even such simple acts like that can really brighten someone's day. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ziana. So, act of kindness play a crucial role in creating more supportive community. So, my next question is for Raima. In your opinion, does being kind to others have any benefits? If there is, and what are they?
Thank you for the question. There are some benefits, like they always say, if you do something for someone, you'll get it back, and that is true. My friend was kind to me, and I was kind to someone else, and she got her kindness back. And yeah, it's you do get some benefits, but if you get some benefits, it depends on everyone, like what they think, and if they think of it as a benefit. Sometimes you get benefits, but you don't even realize it in a way. That's
True,
all. Thank you.
true. It's like act of kindness, like Adria said at the very beginning, that you don't want, you are doing something without thinking of any return, right? So, but there are benefits comes along with it. For example, you can have a very good friendship. So building relationship, repairing relationship. Those things works when you practice act of kindness. All right, that was a great answer. Thank you, Raima. So we are almost at the end of the podcast. Now I'd like to welcome our guest, Saba, to say a few words.
Thank you, Manwar, for giving me the opportunity. Well, I'm very much impressed how Farifta, Raima, Ziana, and Atria came up with all the informative information. So, very well said, everyone. Now, we all know that kindness is one of the most valued character strengths in every society. We like kind people, so being kind can help us be liked. Beyond that, being kind has been shown to boost not only others' well being, but also our own personal well being. For example, if we spend more money on others, we are generally happier. And if we volunteer to help others, we are generally healthier. You know, kindness is a movement. Like someone has done something kind to you, and all you wanted to do after is to pay, pay it forward. That's because kindness is a chain reaction. It's a wave that keeps rolling, and all it needs is one person to start it. One small kind act can cause a ripple effect that impacts an entire community. If we all are focused on being kind, we are creating a movement of change. You know, that famous quote by Mahatma Gandhi, that be the change that you wish to see in the world. That quote isn't about change. And it isn't only about one person being able to change their world. It's bigger. It's about a movement that can be started from one person acting with intention. So, if we all, lastly, I would like to say that we are humans and therefore we make mistakes. We can be kind in our response to ourselves and others when those mistakes occur. If we could all remember that none of us is perfect, we would be a lot kinder to each other. So offer grace and be kind. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Saba. Thank you so much. We have come to the end of our podcast, as I mentioned. Thank you, everyone, Adria, Farifta, Ziana, and Raima, for participating in this podcast, and our special guest, Saba, for joining us today. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. Before we wrap up, I would like to remind our listeners that there are several resources available to help individuals dealing with bullying. The government of Alberta has a bullying helpline which provides support and advice to those experiencing bullying. And the helpline can be reached at 1-888-456-2323. Bullying is a violation of human rights. Under no circumstances bullying is acceptable. As a community, we have our shared responsibility to take a stand against bullying and not to be a bystander. Thank you so much for joining in conversation with Manwar Khan, and see you next week. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.